How do you know when Moshiach is nearby? The Talmud gives us all kinds of indicators that we're supposed to look out for that will identify that we're living in the time of Moshiach. Some of them speak about economic factors, some of them speak about social upheaval, some of them speak about political conflict. But it's quite interesting that on more than one occasion, the sages of the Talmud indicate that before Moshiach comes, there will be a tremendous amount of chutzpah in the world. In one reference, it says chutzpah yasgi, which means that chutzpah will become prevalent. And the other expression that's used is ha'azus tarbeh, which means brazenness will become commonplace. And you do have to wonder, what would the connection be between an increase in chutzpah and the coming of Moshiach? We also see that the Talmud speaks about the idea of children disrespecting parents, about conflict where young people reject the authority of older people, and where older people stand up out of respect for younger people, which is something absolutely bizarre, a total turnover of how society is supposed to work. So what's the connection between that and Moshiach? And there are various insights that are offered. One of them is quite simply, chutzpah is where whatever's cooking on the inside, whatever negative thoughts or angles, perceptions a person might have actually come out. They actually say it. You know, very often people may think things, but what you think and don't express is not nearly as bad, obviously, as what you express. So chutzpah indicates that some of the toxic thinking of the world comes to the surface. Just like if you had to clean a particular environment, you want to draw all the dirt to the surface, and then you can wipe it away. And that would refer to the fact that there's quite a lot of negative chutzpah in the world. For example, the chutzpah of the world to turn around to the one nation that has had sovereignty over a part of the world, Israel, for the longest period of time, and start to claim that Jews do not belong in Israel and that Israel does not belong to Jews. That might well be the greatest chutzpah ever in history. The chutzpah to deny history, the chutzpah to deny God's eternal promise of his land to his people. So the fact that there's that kind of agenda on the table and in such a big way, that might well be the kind of chutzpah that it's referring to. But here's an interesting thing, because as I said, the one place the Talmud speaks about azus, which is brazenness, and in a different location the Talmud says that Yisrael azin shebe'umois, that the Jewish people are the most brazen of all nations. Now that's strange, because we don't typically think of ourselves as being brazen. Maybe you think of Israelis having a certain chutzpah which has seen them in good stead and allowed them to achieve things that nobody else believed possible. And then I suppose by extension that's our history. We have achieved things that nobody else imagined possible. For example, we have the brazenness to still be around despite everybody's best efforts to get rid of us. So to say brazen is not necessarily a bad thing. It's the brazenness to stand up and to say, this is what we believe. This is who we are. We're not going away. And in fact, on the contrary, we have a lesson to teach the rest of the world. That's why the Jewish people are called azin shebe'umois, the most brazen among the nations, because we stare everybody else down and say we're a tiny fraction of the world population, and yet we have an opinion and we believe that you should follow our opinion. Ha'azus tarbeh, before Moshiach comes, you can expect a greater brazenness of the Jewish attitude, more confidence as Jewish people, the opportunity for Jews to stand up and literally to teach the rest of the world. And of course that would be because the world is a little bit more conducive to it. The world is not necessarily looking to start a new genocide against the Jewish nation, although perhaps they have some issues with some of the things that we do. Ha'azus tarbeh, that kind of chutzpah, is the chutzpah of you and I to walk down the street proudly and say, we are proud of who we are, we are proud to be Jewish, we are proud of our value system as taught in the Torah. We actually think the rest of the world could benefit from it. And we're going to tell you about it. And we even have the chutzpah to say that when we're not so observant ourselves, because that's a chutzpah, to stand up proudly about being Jewish, even when you're not fully invested in your Judaism yourself. That's a chutzpah. It's a good chutzpah. It's a sign that we're living in the time of Moshiach.